Okay. Okay. So these look really funny, but my eyes hurt like a lot today. So these are my blue removing spectacles. They definitely remove the blue. You can definitely tell. Whether they do any good, I don't know, but I like to pretend. So here we are pretending. Also, I have always wanted to have glasses. I'm one of those annoying people that people with glasses hate. I've always liked glasses. They're like another way to express yourself. And so when I found these at the beginning of COVID times, I was very excited. Now, the only problem is I also have these over here that are, they look like Malcolm X glasses. They're actually, what is his name? Nope. Jack Kilby glasses. He was a big dude at Texas Instruments, and they had a celebration of Jack Kilby Day, and they gave out glasses to look like this and had his name on them. So I really wish these looked like those, but they don't. Also, it's really funny looking at my eyes through these glasses and then through the glasses on the screen because they look even more yellow. Can I help you? That's my shirt. Come here. No, I summoned a Finn. I was talking to Juno, but I summoned a Finn. Here he is. Hello. Hello. Yes, don't lick my face. I just washed it. I just washed it and put it. Juno, that's my pajama. Oh, she's needy. Okay. So, let's get to it. We've got people to thank. Finn, we've got people to thank. Let's take a look at the poll. I'm going to put the link to the... Finn, stop licking my thumb, please. Stop. Stop. He's convulsive. Okay, no, but I'm going to put a link to the poll in the chat. Oh no, it's begun again. Oh shoot, that's obnoxious, huh? It's okay. I like grabbed it. I think I'm scared of. Okay. If that happens, I can see it. It's right there. I can take it down. We have batteries for it, so I can replace it, but I don't want to replace it. That's a silly thing to do on the internet. So I also don't particularly want to show you the gymnastics I'm going to have to do to get up there to take it down, because there's a lot of stuff underneath it. Anyway, that's the poll. The first person, actually, we're going to go down from the bottom. Oof. These are starting to fog up because my face is very warm. Okay. The church that I went to when I lived in England. This was a little... Oh, no. I apologize. This was a little baby church. Oh, my goodness. I had to find it. I don't even remember what it was called. York, England Church. Wasn't Catholic. Oh, you know, I might be able to find it on Facebook because unless they don't exist anymore. York, England. Search for, I don't remember what the name of the church was. I'm not going to be able to find it that way. Okay, so let's see. Let's go back. The Trinity Church? That doesn't make any sense. Oops. Okay, let's see. So we've got a map of York here. Marks and Spencer. I went there a lot. Think Sainsbury's. Went there a bit. Okay. Monkgate. York St. John University. There it is. That's where I went. Man, I miss York a lot. It's such a wonderful Constantine statue. Oh, there's the Minster. Okay. St. Thomas with Maurice. That it is. St. Thomas with Morris. I don't know how they pronounce it, but St. Thomas with Maurice. Whew. All the services are online. That's cute. That's cute because there's like, at least when we went there were very few people. Oh my goodness. There's probably more people. Stop it. There's probably more people now. Because it looks, just looking at their website, it looks like they have more people. They do give their Zoom ID out online, but that's, personal choice. And there's probably like a waiting room and or a password, so that's fine. Anyway, St. Thomas is also known as St. Thomas with St. Maurice. I went there when I lived in England for 4 months in college, also known as studying abroad. I lived like walking distance of this church. I've definitely gotta go back to maps and find my apartment. But I wonder if it doesn't exist anymore, because those do not look like they belong. Oh. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. So sorry about that. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. I don't know if it still belongs to York St. John though. It could. I don't know. I don't remember my address because I only put it on like 3 things, but yeah, we lived down the street within walking distance. I mean, we pretended that all of York was in walking distance. It really pretty much was though. So we would go there. I went to a Christian college. So when I went abroad, we had a relationship with this church. This is gonna drive me crazy. We had a relationship with this church from the previous years where people had gone abroad, and I wonder if it didn't turn on until 7. Did you see that bug? It wasn't a bug, it was a spirit or anyway. We went to this church. They were nice. They were really welcoming. And they gave us a lot of like food. I remember a lot, like, most Protestant churches have refreshments or whatever after church, and there were cookies and tea, biscuits and tea, I suppose. And then they also had us in for a high tea with crumpets and scones and the lemon curd and that sort of stuff. And it was really great. But mostly they were just really nice. And I'm friends with a couple of the people who I met there on Facebook, and they remind me of it. And I've just been thinking about England a lot because I've been watching Taskmaster. Watch yesterday's video if you are confused as to what that is. And yeah, I miss York a lot. And one of the things I miss is the community of people that I was there with. And one of the ways that was demonstrated was when, not all of us, but a bunch of us went to church there regularly. And it was wonderful. So that is the church that I went to when I lived in England. The letter B here is my college English linguistic history professor. I didn't want to just put her name because one of the reasons that I'm very grateful to her is because she was my English linguistic history professor. Class called the History of the English Language. I took a lot of other classes from her too. Her name is Professor Karen Southway, and still friends with her on Facebook. And yeah, I took a bunch of classes with her. Oh, my Lanta. I gotta do something about this. And you're gonna have to watch. I'm really sorry. Okay, so we've got a chair here. isn't a swivel chair, and that's important in these times. Oh, I'm not sure what that is. Oh, the dogs have come to watch. How exciting. It's like directly over there. How did we do this and why? Okay. How do I make it stop making the noises? Okay, turn it off now. I will replace the batteries after. I don't trust that. Okay. I'll replace the batteries after I'm done. Oh, surprisingly not as hard as I thought it was going to be. So, the Professor Karen's out. The history of the English language class that I took, easily one of the most interesting classes that I've taken, that I took in college, because I was surprised to find out how much I liked linguistics, but I think the thing that I like about linguistics is how languages become languages, and not as much linguistics are interesting, and like grammar, and I love the grammar class that I took as well, and we're not very good at learning languages, but I like studying them. Oh my goodness, there's just an eyelash in my eye. But the history of the English language was really interesting because it talked about, you know, like these people moved here and these people were influential in this way. And so these things came into our language this way. And yeah, it's super interesting. And I've learned things. I learned things in that class that I've used a lot since. For one thing, it teaches you sort of like a basic overview of at least the UK history for the past 1,200 years, maybe. I mean, our main things that we had to remember were 1066. There were a few dates we had to memorize, and let me tell you, I forgot most of them, but 1066 I did not forget. And 1066 is when the Norman invasion happened in England, and William the Conqueror came in from Normandy. I almost said Norway. Yikes. Came in from Normandy, which was the north of France, and he basically had a claim to the throne of England. And I forget exactly what prompted him to be like really upset and like desire to conquer England, but he did, over his distant cousin Henry II, maybe. And he was French, so he went back to France. I don't know. I can't remember exactly how much time he spent in France versus the time he spent in England, but basically that was how the monarchy of England got started, and they were French. And they spoke French, and French was the language of the upper class. And so one interesting tidbit that I think is pretty well known is like we have different things once they get on our table versus when they are in our fields. So like beef is a French word, and it describes, wait, no, is it beef? Yeah, beef. Beef is a French word, and it describes what you're eating. Cow is a English word for lack of a better. I mean, it's not French. It comes from France. It comes from Old French, and cow comes from Old English. Older than Old English. It comes from the Anglo-Saxon, and possibly there are other words that come from like Anglo-Saxon, Viking, Celtic roots. Generally have more to do with the people who are in the lower classes, and then the French words have to do with things like government and fancy food, and you know, like that's where our French words go. And it's interesting because you can also track that the French words then Um, French is a Romance language, and Latin. A lot of Latin goes into French, so a lot of our Latin words come to us through France first. It's just I'm not very good at explaining. But anyway, it gives you sort of a basic overview of the history of the UK. And that touchstone has been super helpful because mostly, I don't think that there's been anything like super important in the news. It's not like Brexit requires that you know about like um, the English monarchy or whatever. But I mean, it doesn't hurt. But there hasn't been anything in the news so much as just like things that I've been watching and reading about and learning and stuff that have made a lot of reference to the various kings and queens or to times in England that I know based on what was going on linguistically at the time, which brings an interesting perspective. So, let me think of an example. Oh, so in Outlander, which I'm reading, which you would know if you watched last week's Wednesday episode, video, whatever. I know, for instance, that I know what the English language vaguely looked like at the time in the 1700s. I know that it is much closer to, it is very close to modern English, but I don't believe it may have had, they may have had a dictionary, but it wasn't a common thing yet to like spell words always the same, that sort of thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's a touchstone. It's really hard to explain. Um, and specifically, I want to thank her for that. But while we're at it, I thank her for a lot of things. She also was my Chaucer teacher. Talk about a touchstone. Yikes. There's a lot of things in Chaucer that are super interesting still. Think about one that April the shore so the drocht of March hath pierced the road. And that's all I got. We had to memorize like the first stanza of the Canterbury Tales. She did a lot of memorizing in her classes, and I think I really appreciated it then. It was really difficult, but prologue. I had to memorize the prologue. I want to see it on YouTube. No, I don't want to see it. This is a textbook. It's like a high school English text. General prologue. General prologue. And we had to read the whole, well, all of the stories that we read. We had to read them in Middle English. And that was really fun. And batheth every vine in sweet liqueur, of which virtue engendered is the flower. When Zephyrus eke with his sweet breath, and spirit hath in every holt and head, the tendere croppus, the jonge sonne, thereaan his half course runne. In smalle voeles maken melodieën, dat slepen al de nicht with open ear. So pricketh him that your in here courages, than longen folk to goen on pilgrimages, and Pomerus for to seken stronge strondis, to ferna halvis, cotha in sondre landis, and specially from every sheer's ende of England to Canterbury they wende, the holy blissful martyr for to seke, that him hath hopen, one that they were seke. I think that's the only part we had to memorize, because I'm looking down the rest of this and it does not look as familiar. Dang. Like, okay, so this is super nerdy, surprising no one. If you want to have, like, if you have trouble sleeping, this is good. If you don't know Middle English and have trouble sleeping or getting to sleep, what you should do is find a YouTube video or an audiobook of someone who knows what they're doing reading Canterbury Tales, or reading Beowulf in Old English. They're very different, but and in Beowulf you might not understand it nearly at all, but you might catch a couple words, I guess. But the Canterbury Tales is just like, it's poetry. It's epic poetry, I think. I know that Beowulf counts as epic poetry. I don't know if Canterbury Tales fits the definition, but it's definitely a very long story, and it's just very musical in the way it sounds, and someone who knows what they're doing and speaks Middle English and Old English fluently can really, yeah, it just sounds really wonderful. And it's great to know what it says, but I personally have to like be reading it to know what it says, because like you have to look at the way the words are spelled to know which words they like sort of mean in modern English. And also I studied it in college, so like the stories in college, so I sort of like vaguely remember the stories. But yeah, I totally encourage you to find that YouTube video, wherever it is. I don't think I can give recommendations because I think the YouTube videos that I had for that were not on YouTube. Like that's how old they were. They were just videos on the internet somewhere. But look it up. It's great. The Canterbury Tales are fascinating of themselves as like sort of a cross section of history. They're a social commentary in a lot of ways, and so you get a lot of like the social history of England in the 1400s. And Chaucer was just an interesting guy. And then Shakespeare. I didn't take her Shakespeare class. I took a different professor's Shakespeare class. But I did take her, what was it called? It was early English literature. That's what it was. Early English literature. So I read Beowulf with her separately, I think, twice. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, probably my favorite. There is a really great quote. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it because I don't know where I'm going to find it, but I am finding a lot of Spark Notes and Clip Notes stuff, which is sort of funny. Because I probably used them when I was in college. I'm not going to find it because I don't even remember exactly. I had taken someone's artistic rendering of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, like Sir Gawain riding up to see the Green Knight, and I had superimposed the quote over it and used it as a desktop on my computer. I will look for it, and if I find it, I will post it either on this channel or on my Facebook or something, because I found it really inspiring when I was in college. Who knows if I'll still find it inspiring? There's a lot of things about college that are different now. Anyway, I would like to thank her. I would like to thank a lot of my professors. So she is just the first one that I brought up here. But my professors from college, especially the English professors, not only the English professors, but especially the English professors, were just really wonderful people and really taught me a lot. And they're going through a pretty hard time right now because even before Corona, my college has been in dire straits for a few years. I don't know if it's as dire as it was when I left, but the year that I left, graduated, that's what they call that. The year that I graduated was sort of like this first year in this realization of how much bad financial planning there had been with the previous administration. And so they were still sort of reeling from that and trying to come up with ways. They've been trying to come up with ways to secure funding, well, because they're losing enrollment. And then, I don't know, there's a lot of things going on at that college right now. There's Hey! There's a moth in there. Okay, whatever. We'll stop working. Yeah, there's a lot going on at the college. A lot of sort of reckonings happening. And I can't imagine it's fun or easy to go through those things. And I know that for teachers that I know, it has been very difficult to have to do teaching in the new way. And professors are not immune to that. And yeah, and I just really appreciated them. And I don't know that I've ever made that especially clear. And I really appreciated like my other teachers, like high school teachers and middle school teachers and everything, but I don't keep up with them as much. So it's like I'm friends with a lot of my professors on Facebook. And so I'm able to keep up with them a little bit and like keep in touch with them a little bit. And at least know where they're, approximately where they're living. So I know I could say thank you note directly to her, but I can't do that with a lot of my other teachers because it just wasn't a thing that was done. And probably, well, hopefully still isn't a thing, becoming Facebook friends with your teachers. I think when I was a student teacher, I had a lot of kids who found me on Facebook, and I said I wouldn't friend them until after I left, until after I graduated. And I think if I had become a teacher, that would have been my sort of MO. It's like I won't friend you until you graduate high school. And if you still want it, then like I'm gonna get rid of your friend request now. And if you still want to be friends with me at the end of high school, then we can be done. Anyway, that's my story for her. And the last person, last but not least, is my friend who basically started my NaNoWriMo friend group in 2009. Again, I didn't want to give names to these people. I tried to more describe who they were to me, I guess. So this is my friend Jennifer, and she. I was trying to tell this story to somebody the other day, and I sort of struggled. But NaNoWriMo, brief overview of NaNoWriMo it's NaNoWriMo, I guess. National Novel Writing Month. You write. It's a big organization as well as like I don't know. It's a very fun thing. Google it. You write 50,000 words, a 50,000 word novel in a month, the month of November, and around it has sprung this huge community across the world of people who do this and work together to do it. And they don't work together on their novels. Well, no, they work together, but individually. So everyone has their own individual novel, but they sort of like hang out together while they write it. And they read each other's novels, and they talk about each other's characters and plots and everything. And when I was in college is when I started doing NaNoWriMo, and my friend Jennifer, she wasn't my friend at the time, did not know her. She decided to start a little group of people who would meet together at the Barnes & Noble in the mall down the street from my school. And she would so she posted on the forums because that's how it worked, at least at that time. I haven't done NaNoWriMo in a few years, not since grad school, but grad school really kicked my butt in terms of NaNoWriMo. That was rough. But she posted on the forums that she was going to be there, and she invited people to come to meet her, and she explained like what she was wearing or what she had with her so people would know who she was. And so I went there just on a whim. I was like, I gotta make friends. I'm gonna do something exciting and like weird, something that I would not usually do. And I went there and I met her, and then I met this little girl. She was 13. She wasn't that much, 19, so she wasn't that much younger than me. Which means that she's like 24 now. Dang. I think her name was Kate. I remember her username. I'm not going to say it in case she uses it for a lot of things, but I remember her username, but I can't remember her real name. And then there was a guy, Eric. I'm pretty sure his name was Eric. He was in his 30s probably. And Jen, I would guess, was probably in her 30s at the time. I don't actually know how old any of these people are. And when I hung out with them, I was very bad at guessing ages, so I have no idea. She was probably like late 20s, early 30s, I would guess, when I met her. But she was sort of like the catalyst. She showed up. She talked about what she wanted, what she sort of envisioned, which was mostly just like we would sit together and we would do writing. What do we call them? Word wars, maybe, where it's like you write for 10 minutes, and whoever writes the most in that 10 minutes wins. And you can do it like with word counts on your computer because most of us were typing. Um, and uh, and then we just like chatted and stuff. And it grew and grew every year. We did this every week for the 4 weeks of NaNoWriMo. And then at the end of NaNoWriMo and at the beginning of NaNoWriMo, but I think I skipped that this year. At the end of NaNoWriMo, there was a like a celebration party because it was over, and that was a little farther away, so I had to get a ride with somebody because I wouldn't have had a car. I don't know how I did that, but I was a little farther away, and I was at a pizza place in a different city, and I was not planning on going because I wouldn't know very many people there. I know the 13-year-old wasn't going, and I wasn't like huge, like really great friends with the guy. He was fine. There was nothing wrong with him. It was just like we didn't have a lot in common, so it wasn't like in love with the idea of spending the afternoon with him. But I wanted to go anyway because it was like another opportunity to meet people and be adventurous and do something different. And so I went. I think I may have brought a friend with me, but other than that, I only knew Jen. I only knew her. And she was really kind and not in a way that felt like it was like it felt really genuine. It didn't feel just like, oh, I'm the leader of a group, so I have to be nice to everybody. It was like she remembered things, she told jokes. It just really seemed like, this sounds silly because we are friends, but at the time, it really seemed like she liked me, like we could be friends, and I was like really genuinely surprised by that because like that's not a thing that happens to me. Is I don't go places to make friends. Like I didn't think that was a thing that could happen. But from Jen and from that like small group of people that grew and grew every year to the point where they couldn't meet in the Barnes and Noble anymore because there were too many people, and then they moved to the food court at the mall, and then they couldn't do that anymore because there were too many people and it was causing too much of a distraction and people didn't like it at the mall, so they moved to a bookstore, which arguably was an upgrade. But though she is where I found like pretty much all my friends in NaNoWriMo, and we were thick as thieves for the 4 years that I was involved there. Once I left Michigan, it was much harder to stay involved. but to my knowledge, they're still all pretty good friends. I don't know. I don't like saying that on the internet because like, what if there was like mad beef between some of them? I'm bringing it up. I don't know, but I'm friends with a bunch of them on Facebook still, and they're all enjoyable people. And when I left Michigan, I don't know where it is. When I left Michigan, they worked together to write me a book, write me a little children's book. And that had a lot of inside jokes. It was just really funny. And I still have it. I still have it. I would show it to you, but I would have to go looking for it, and there's no guarantee that it is where I think it is. And also, when I show it to you, then it'll ask more questions than it answers, because even the cover that they made for it is a little bit weird, and you would have to do. I would have some explaining to do. So, okay, I've gone on a very long time, but I'm obviously very thankful to Jen, and obviously, and her example to me of like starting this group is one of the ways that I've survived moving so many times as an adult. And one of the reasons that I started my gamer that I have now here in Texas. And she's sort of the inspiration, the touchstone of that, because if I hadn't met her the way I did when I was 19, I don't know what I would be doing now. Because I'm not an adventurous person. I do not like going out and meeting people. But I had a really good experience when I did it with her. And I think I've had a pretty good experience almost every time I've done it. Every time I've done something sort of outgoing in a weird way doesn't feel like something I would do. But yeah, so she was a good example to me. So let's see who people. I'm going to do this on my phone, so then I can show it to you. Gotta go to the problem with my phone right now. Well, one of many is that I have downloaded so many podcasts and I'm not listening to them as fast as I normally do. So I have a lot of things stored on my phone right now. My phone doesn't like that. Am I at the right place? It's this way. Movies.com. This one. Well, here it is. Okay. So this is the poll. I can come over here and I can say show responses, and then I can refresh. Don't make me vote. I just want to see that. Oh goodness. Okay, this is not working. There's like a whole app and things that I don't have. But basically, let me look at these. There were 5 responses. Is that right? 5 responses. 6. There were 6 responses. And it gives me them in percentages every single time. And I'm not a fan. Here we go. Okay. So one person said I should write to Professor Southey. One person said I should write to the church I lived in England. And 4 people said I should write to Jennifer. So this is unsurprising to me because I would not be surprised if Jennifer voted for that. I actually don't know if she's like sees me on Facebook. But okay, so let's look at what we've got. She is not so much a Star Wars nerd. She's not really a comic book nerd either, though, to my knowledge. So I don't know that either of my postcard sets, my fancy postcard sets, is really going to be. Okay, but this is a pretty excellent picture. Hopefully she watches this video because I'm going to describe it more in this video than I'm going to be able to describe it on the card. But look at the way that Batman is holding Robin here, and look at those shoes. It's a winner. Okay. Let's find the pen. Found the pen. Now finding her address without letting her know, unless she lives at the same place she lived all those years ago, which this is impossible. Anyway, dear Jen, and what is today? The 16th. Dear Jen, thanks for being so awesome all those years ago. You really showed my weird, naive 19-year-old self. How to be myself, how to make friends I liked, and how to party like, I'm gonna put some profanity in that. Party like a nerd. Ooh. Nerd is a weird word to write in cursive, and then to like, well, to make it like nerd. So I added extra R's, and cursive R's just look like little lumps. So I hope it's legible. And how to party like a nerd. You showed me by example how to be a good friend to younger people, and taught me how to do scary things. Like going to a Barnes and Noble where you don't know anything. Like meeting people from the internet. I hope you're doing well. I don't know. That seems like such a lame way to sign off. I really hope she watches this video because it really expounds on it a little bit more. Okay, and then I'm gonna put the link to this video because I'm thirsty. So is that okay with you? Wait, use of that word? I think I've gotten to the age where I don't care, so it doesn't matter. Writing these out by hand is always sort of interesting. Like, how do I make sure that they know which letter I'm writing? Because it doesn't spell a word. And I don't even know what letter that is. Is that an L or an I? Let's find out. Oh, this is how I did last time I opened Notepad. Because Notepad's got a nice model. It's an I, perfect. I's are easier. Capital I's are easier. Than lowercase i's. Oh, whoops. Gotta stop that dog. Okay. And then I will use one of my handy dandy. Oh, I gotta find her address. I will do that. There's a couple different ways. I gotta stop that dog. I gotta stop that dog. But it's been a joy and a dream streaming to all of you. I will send this to Jen, and hopefully she will receive it post haste. Read some Chaucer. or have it read to you more aptly. And have a good Thursday, and I will be here tomorrow for Flashback Friday. Stay well, as they say.